The season is upon us! The season of big brands releasing Christmas adverts that tell their customers how much they hate them, and customers getting angry, and then the customers getting called bigoted. The Boots advert this year starred Adjoa Andoh, a woman who's mainly known for calling our royal family, and by extension the rest of us Brits, terribly white.
We've gone from the rich diversity of the Abbey to a terribly white balcony. I'm very struck by that.
Not just white, terribly white. Our whiteness has reached the level of terrible. Couldn't they find someone who hates Britain just a little bit less to star in this advert, like maybe Jerry Adams or Abu Hamza or even Keir Starmer? Man, to upstage Boots, the John Lewis Christmas advert will need Dr. Shola Mos Shogbamimu wiping her arse on a Union Jack, or maybe Osama bin Laden taking a dump in the King's Crown. I'll show the ad in a moment, but first a bit of background. Adjoa Andoh stars in Bridgerton, a pretend historical drama that, like everything else on TV now, imagines medieval England had the same ethnic makeup as Mogadishu Airport. It didn't, by the way, despite the relentless reprogramming of olden timesy England as more diverse than the cover of a university prospectus with a black Isaac Newton, a black Anne Boleyn, and black hobbits. We were all white, like whiter than me, white to a dangerous level. Medieval Europe was really lacking in genetic diversity because people didn't even have bicycles, so we couldn't leave the valley we were in to at least procreate with a cousin instead of a sister. So medieval Brits were all deeply inbred with underbites and 6 white fingers. This was when Europe could have actually done with a sprinkling of genetic diversity, not like now when a walk through central London is like the cantina scene in Star Wars with extra stabbing, and imported Islamist mobs are conducting pogroms against Jews in Amsterdam. Adjoa Andoh got some flack last year when she was commenting on the royal coronation of Queen Camilla and King Prince Charles. The royal family had invited loads of brown people to be at the wedding so that it looked normal on TV. If viewers flicked over to it and everyone was white, they'd either think their TV was broken or it was a really large-scale advert for gambling or alcoholism or domestic violence or one of the other things that's still allowed to be advertised by white people. But the royal family themselves aren't that diverse. They had Meghan Markle for a while, but she left the royal family after the Queen told her off for playing music through her phone speaker in the royal carriage. So when the royal couple appeared with their family on the Buckingham Palace balcony to wave at the public, they were all white, which used to be acceptable in Britain, but now is apparently not. Andoh commented on the whiteness, saying, "We've gone from the rich diversity of the Abbey to a terribly white balcony." Terribly white? Our royal family is terrible because it's white, and by extension the rest of us native Brits are terrible because we are white too. This was Britain's George Floyd moment, except worse because nobody in the royal family has ever held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach to get money to buy crack. Well, maybe Prince Andrew, but the rest of them are straight as a die. But being white is inherently terrible now, apparently. We've come full circle from Martin Luther King wishing his children could be judged on the content of their character instead of the colour of their skin, to Adjoa Andoh explicitly judging people on the colour of their skin and deciding that they're terrible. It's so blatantly one-sided as well. If a white commentator had described the England football team as being terribly black, they'd be thrown in jail. Although Adjoa Andoh's husband is white, so she can't think we're all that bad. More than 8,000 complaints were made by outraged viewers to Ofcom about Andoh's comments, making it the most complained about TV moment of 2023 at that point, though the watchdog didn't take any action because their DEI department told them that they think being white is terrible too. Anyway, let's watch the ad.
Shall we? How do I look?
Slaying.
Maya?
Fabulous.
Really?
She'll love that.
Robin?
Oh, that's very them. Next. Marvellous.
Incoming!
Good. This one's mine.
We're out of bows!
We are never out of bows. Last one. You thought it was all him.
Wow, that's a really amazing advert for Superdrug. I mean, as well as having a woman who thinks that being white is terrible, Santa is depicted as a lazy white man. Oh, white men are so lazy. This is incredibly daring in an advert, as I've never seen the white husband portrayed as a dunderhead before. Santa obviously isn't lazy, as he delivers presents to every Christian child, and some other ones who are joining in as well, in just one night. The guy's basically Jeff Bezos. And everyone in the advert might be trans, or they might just be a middle-aged woman who's had a bit too much work done. It's a lot like going on a dating app in your 40s. There's a hip-hop soundtrack because nothing says Christmas like hip-hop. Happy Kwanzaa, everyone! And it's incredibly multi-ethnic, which is wonderful. I think it's just so refreshing to see and so important. If it makes just one little Chinese, black, Papua New Guinean transgender elf grow up and think, one day I could be Madame President, then it's worth it. But I don't like it because she's not a babe. I like adverts with hot women in bikinis leaning up against cars or getting beer sprayed on them. She's old and she's shaved her head. There's so many hot women who could have been in this. Man, when you go to McDonald's you see hotter women than this working behind the counter. I think there should be a law that says that adverts should only have hot babes in them, like in the old days when everything was much better. And there's pronouns in the advert. I mean, for a start, who on earth is still doing pronouns except for people on LinkedIn who have to because their HR managers are watching? But more importantly, there's growing evidence of vulnerable people, especially young people, being sucked into the gender woo-woo cult and ending up having hormones, puberty blockers and irreversible gender surgery that isn't in their best interests. Boots is more than a shop in the UK, it's an extension of our health service. It gives advice to vulnerable people. Vulnerable people don't need any gender ideology pushed on them. It could be bad for them. People on Twitter went mental about the advert, accusing Boots of anti-white racism and saying they'd boycott Boots. And then, predictably, woke fannies in the left-wing media responded, calling them all far-right extremist bigots. Yeah, you know what's really far-right? Not liking racism is now really far-right, apparently. So far, it's just a normal Christmas advert, straining to be controversial to get lots of social media and press coverage for Boots. And British people will love the ad, of course. British people love self-flagellating. If someone stands on a British person's foot, the British person says sorry. It's an insane country. The #1 porn search term in Britain is black women stamping on white man's testicles forever. It's true! And it's all from some weird inverted superiority complex. British people think they're so special they can withstand the entire world taking a dump on them and still prevail. Maybe Boots just have a DEI department that's woefully out of touch and still pushing propaganda that was old hat years ago. Ironically, Boots is owned by Walgreens, an American pharmacy chain. Walgreens is closing stores in minority areas in America due to unprofitability and crime. It's leading to accusations of racism as minorities have a harder time accessing essential pharmacy services. So these race-baiting DEI adverts are pure window dressing. Watch every dumb woke fanny in Britain now shop at Boots, patting themselves on the back for fighting racism and sniffing their own farts in the car on the drive home. Everyone who strains to look non-racist is overcompensating for something. But wait a minute. Let's have another look at that ad. All these ethnic slaves are working in Santa's workshop, and Santa clearly doesn't have any money to pay them with because he gives away the presents for free. And they're at the North Pole, so they can't leave or they'll freeze. They're trapped. So they're effectively slave labour. Boots has portrayed Santa as a white slave owner, and the presents made by slaves. Boots is playing 5D chess here. They've seen how revulsion at anti-white wokeism fueled Trump's victory by making the woman who described a royal family, and us, as terribly white, the star of their Christmas ad. They're pushing for Britain to have its own Trump victory. The pronouns are the icing on the Christmas cake. By making the elves ethnic slaves and Santa a white slave owner, they're slyly rehabilitating the idea of slavery. Boots is a white supremacist neo-Nazi accelerationist organisation. Look at the evidence. All their pills are white is the same for all their medical gauze. Boots is short for jackboots, or possibly Das Boots. And you know who else liked drugs? Hitler. Case closed. Anyway, thanks for listening. If you want to support me making these videos and see some exclusive content, like a stand-up show where I do jokes about grooming gangs, then sign up to my Patreon. You get to be part of a community of nice people who are on the right side of history, and I get money, which is great because I can't pay for Christmas with Boots points. Also, please share this video with Nazis so that they know that Boots is their shop. Okay, thanks for listening. I've been Leo Kears. Bye. Bye-bye.